We have had people present to an interview with no shirt on. When I asked him why he was leaving his current position, he said, because everybody I work with is an idiot. The reason I had 600 applications for that job is because half of them were AI. It's like, if your CV, application and cover letter are all generated by AI, like, why do we need you? So you've no idea how weird you have to be in an interview for people to think you're weird. Do not put a photo on your CV. I know in parts of Europe it's normal, but you're just giving people a chance to be biased against you. Like, I was getting rejected for jobs working in pubs, and I was getting rejected for everything. You will do better with 50 curated, nice applications than you will with 500 ones blasted out there.
Hi Rose, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good as well. I just passed my driving test today, so I'm so happy.
Oh,
Delighted.
congratulations.
Thank you.
I've never even tried, so
Yeah, you should. You should. It's like good adrenaline rush once you are like there, done with the test.
yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
so.
But anyways, for for the viewers who are watching, this is Rose. We met at a conference where I was giving a talk and sharing the stage with her, and she discussed about how one can market themselves in terms of like having the backboard was something which caught my attention because not we usually during the entire job years or 10 years or whatever career, we always think of updating our resume when we are searching for a new job role, and then we go into panic mode that, well, what do I do? What did I did in the last? So I think the brag document was such helpful piece. We'll discuss it anyways later down the line. But that's Rose. She works as a technical recruiter at Nine Dots and primarily Irish market. And she's a cat lover, as you can see from the background as well. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Rose, if I missed anything, if you want to add something, it's all yours.
No, I think that's about it. Um, I come from an unusual background. I worked in the Natural History Museum in Ireland before becoming a recruiter. And between that and becoming a recruiter, I ran events. So I think it just gives me a bit more insight into what it's like when you're trying to drastically change your career.
Right.
Because I've done it, and it's not easy, but it's possible.
I mean, I can imagine because even sometimes I get these questions, or I myself is a software developer, and now I'm transition into data analyst and then data engineer. So even like, I mean, it's not like huge jump, but it's somewhat there. But for you, it was like insane journey, like from museum, then event management, and then technical recruitment. It's insane. I think what we'll try to cover here is, as we discuss the whole pyramid, which you explained me over the coffee chat, that how one should think about, you know, applying for jobs. Because most of the time, what happens is once you graduate, like this was me, I was focusing on, the perfect resume, the perfect template, perfect cover letter. But I didn't realize that even if I'm applying through the resume, which I was applying back then, I was getting few interviews. So the problem wasn't like fixing the resumes. Now the problem was performing well in those interviews. So I would just like you to, take over from here and explain that pyramid and how, like, yeah, then we'll discuss one
Sure.
level. Yeah.
So if I can share my screen.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
So if I start up here, this is a position that so the reason I think in terms of the funnel is because that's how my job works. If I am hiring for a position and I'm not getting anywhere, I look at where on the funnel I'm failing. So this is a position I got an offer for. So when recruiters say I got an offer, what I mean is somebody I put forward for a position has received a job offer, but I get commission based on that. So I got the offer. So you can see I sent 156 outbounds. That
Mhm.
means I messaged 156 people about this position. I got 78 responses. That's responses at all. Like, a lot of those people said no.
Mhm.
Um, then I got 18 CVs to send to my client, which is quite a lot I would usually not send that many, but this is a really difficult position. So I just wanted to really make sure I was covered.
Okay.
Everyone I sent got interviewed. Everyone I sent got a tech test, but you can see here there's a sharp drop off. So the problem was
Yes.
getting people past the tech test. So after I'd sent like 5 people and all 5 of them failed the tech test, I had to adjust my approach. And that's what the funnel does, is you see where the problem is. If I
Mm.
was sending people and they weren't getting an interview, I'd need to just completely change the CVs I was sending. So, but the problem wasn't the CVs. The problem was the technical test, which is very hard for me to assess. So kind of what I ended up doing was absolutely horrifying people at an early stage and saying this technical test is so hard. And then people who were not maybe confident. And I
Mm.
got a bit of information about the tech test, and it was like, you're going to have to cover time complexity of algorithms. And then anyone who was spooked by that dropped off. But it worked. I got 1 job offer. There's a second position available. So I have 3 other people at final interviews. So fingers crossed. But
Yeah,
that's the use of it, is I can see where the failure point is. If I was sending loads of outbounds and was getting no response, that's where I would need to change my approach. So for you, the job applicant, first of all, there's suitable jobs. That's usually not going to be a problem. There is no shortage of jobs that exist to apply
okay.
to. So, yeah. But if you're finding that there's absolutely no jobs there that suit you, you need to either adjust your expectations, do something different. But in tech, I don't see that really being a problem
Um,
unless, go on.
yeah. When you say that there are enough jobs, but like, does it apply for freshers as well?
It is more difficult at the fresher end, but those positions are not often advertised on LinkedIn because it costs money, and not a small amount of money, for a company to post a job on LinkedIn. And you want to kind of save that for something more difficult. You want
Hmm.
to save that money for where the impact is going to be. And honestly, a lot of companies will post their graduate positions on their own website. They won't really bother going to LinkedIn. And it's kind of up to you as the applicant to make a list of companies you want to work for and then haunt their websites. A bit later on, I can show you a few tactics for like basically Googling for
Definitely.
a job
Yeah.
ad.
Yeah.
Um, but then you send in your application, you get a response. So when I say recruiter response here, I mean, normally it's going to be some sort of recruiter or HR person, whether internally, like they're the internal recruiter in a company, or someone like me responds. That's now, a lot of people phone this in because they think that recruiter call isn't important. But really, I am your first round of interview. If I think you're not qualified, I'm not sending you to my client, because my client will base their reputation or base their opinion of me on the
Mhm.
CVs I send them. And if I send them a lot of crap CVs, they're going to think I'm an idiot. So, and then interview 1, interview 2, however many rounds, final interviews. So keep a spreadsheet. Every single position you apply for, even if you're applying to loads, put them in a spreadsheet, put the name of the company, if you went through a recruiter, what recruitment company it was, what date, and then what medium you used. Like, did you email them? Did you go through LinkedIn Easy Apply? What did you do? And then that way you can keep track of your data and you can find out where the problem is. It also has a benefit that a thing that happens in my job a lot is I send a CV to my client. My client says that person already applied directly,
Um,
and it sucks because it makes me look like an idiot because I haven't screened my person properly. It makes the candidate look like an idiot because it makes you look like you don't know where your CV is going, or you don't care, or you're not paying attention.
mm.
It just shows, obviously, I'm very biased on this. It shows bad judgment. And you don't want to be doing that.
True.
Like, it's not a good look for anyone. And that's where the spreadsheet comes in. Because if you're talking to a candidate, or if you're talking to a recruiter and they say, oh, it's this company, you can go on your spreadsheet and you can go, oh, actually, I applied for that last week. And the recruiter will say, then I can't send your CV forward. And it sounds like you're being cut out of the process, but you're not. You're already in the process.
Mm.
And if they wouldn't speak to you when you apply directly, applying through a recruiter may not help, really. Like you still have the same qualifications. If you're finding yourself failing at interview, then you need to brush up on your interview skills, as you were saying. If you're finding you're getting to final interview, which in Ireland is typically a kind of a culture fish interview, then
Mhm.
then your technical skills are all right. It's your culture fish you need to work on. And that doesn't mean you have to change your personality. It just means you need to learn how to answer those questions. And the culture fit interview, 98% of the time, what they're looking for is, can I work with this person? Can they communicate clearly? You're just looking for somebody, like, they're not even looking for somebody that's like super fun and amazing. They're just looking for somebody that's, you can work with them. Like, if you I had somebody once that missed out on the final interview because basically they were asked, "Tell me about a time that you made a mistake and it negatively impacted your colleague's work." And they
Mm.
basically said, "I have never made a mistake." And that is not true.
True. Yeah.
Like, some and the it should have been a red flag really, because when I asked him why he was leaving his current position, he said, "Because everybody I work with is an idiot." And I just went, "Weird."
Oh.
It was much earlier in my career. Now I would have been like, "Goodbye." But, um, yeah. So
Yeah.
you figure out where in your pipeline you're failing, and then you work on that node of it, because as you said, it can be overwhelming because when you Google how to get a job, all it goes is resume, 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 blah, blah, blah. But your problem may not be your CV. And it
Mm.
usually isn't. I very rarely see a CV that's so bad that I can't even talk to this person.
That's pretty much like the idea of the funnel which I was talking about, and most of them are in a position where they can judge where they are at. So, can we just dive deep into each segment and then discuss about, okay, how to find a job for fresher or for someone who is with experience, then the application, then the recruiter response, how to take those calls when a recruiter is reaching out to you, then the interview, and like brushing up your skill, the culture fit questions as well. Like we can start with the application process, like finding the role first.
Okay, so obviously you have LinkedIn. So you can Google for jobs. If you look when you're applying to jobs, if you look at the URL, an awful lot of jobs are posted on platforms like Bamboo or Greenhouse or Workable or etc. And those URLs have a very, I'm just going to find my little notes here. These
Mhm.
URLs have a very structured format. They're usually something like company.bamboo something.
Um, yeah.
Um, so you can set up Google alerts for whatever it is that you are interested in, and then search for jobs that way. So the thing with the URLs and the Google alerts, I have been doing for years, but I eventually got bored of it. Because it's really annoying when you have like 45 Google alerts
Yeah,
smashing your inbox every morning.
true.
So I built this. It's called
Mm.
BD Wizard because I was using it for business development,
Mhm.
but it works obviously the other way around. So we'll say junior front end jobs in Ireland. And hopefully it'll find something here for us. So I made this. What it does is it searches various um, job websites. So you can see here.
Mm.
So it only searches in Ireland and it only searches for non-recruiter websites. It only searches directly on company
Oh,
websites. So it is quite narrow. But you can build something like this very, very easily. ChatGPT will build your GPT. You can go into
yes.
ChatGPT and go build me a GPT to look for jobs for me. So you're just doing
Mm.
basic Google dorking. If you put in URL careers, you can put URL jobs, but I find that gets you an awful lot of like recruitment websites. And generally, for early career freshers jobs, you want to avoid recruitment agencies because we so rarely get graduate jobs because, again, companies pay us to find something that they can't find themselves. And if you put up a job ad for a graduate job, you get like 2,000 applications. So why
Yeah.
would you pay us for something you can do for free? Okay. And then let's say in title. So in title looks at basically what you see at the top of the page.
Yeah.
And often with any of these jobs pages, the title will have the job title.
Yep.
So we'll go Java, and then you get a list of Java jobs
Hmm.
directly onto the website. And what you're really looking for here is, I know you're thinking, Rose, we're looking for fresher jobs, and that's a Java technical lead. But what you're getting is that version 1 higher job listings. They aren't here anymore. Hire for Java. So if you're looking for a Java job, you now know that version 1 hire Java engineers, and then you can go looking to see, are they looking for a graduate or somebody who's early career. So really what you're looking for is the stack.
Hmm.
Another way you could do it is to look for a list of companies to apply for. IO is something like StackShare.
Mm-hmm.
You can look up the stacks you're interested in. Um,
Okay.
And then you can go that way and you'll find a list of companies that use the technology that you're interested
Right.
in.
Right.
So, and the kind of more niche you go here, the better, because like everyone uses Java. But if you were to go like
Ruby?
Fast API, which is the hot new technology these days,
Was.
and then you can get a list of companies that use it.
Hmm.
And then you can use that to track down jobs with them. Really, what you're doing is you're trying to get off the beaten track because everybody is on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Everybody is on irishjobs.com. Everyone is on those websites. So you want to look for jobs that may be getting fewer applicants. Because if you're a graduate, your qualifications are roughly equivalent to all of the other graduates. You each have 1 degree, 1 project, 1 human person. So what you need to do is find jobs that have fewer applicants, because then you're more likely to stand out.
Hmm.
And then after that, let's say, so that's how you find jobs off the beaten track a little bit. Um, but yeah, it is a lot of work, and um, like it's tough. There's no getting around it. It is going to suck. You're going to have to do a lot of work. But if you spend all of your time digging around,
Yeah.
looking for companies that you want to work for, and then approaching them and looking at their websites for jobs, then it's going to, in the long run, get you somewhere a bit further than just going to LinkedIn and hitting easy apply on like 100 jobs.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I always find that no matter what I say, somebody is like, well, I did all of the opposite things to what you said and I got a job. And I mean, yeah, like every job that's posted on LinkedIn, somebody gets it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of like outlier behavior. Maybe you are just an outlier, but on average, the bell curve, I think for that, maybe just go to
It's
the.
like
Oh,
when I
yeah.
see those blogs that are like, oh, I got a job at Netflix at 1 million billion salaries. And it's like, well, survivorship bias is a thing.
True. True. Very true. Um, yeah, and it sometimes affects you, right? Because everyone else, like in your peers, I don't know, it happens every single time. Your peers are getting the job and then you're still searching. So that kind of like, depression, or I don't know, the rejection, the emotional thing just kicks in, and then you're like, oh. And then, so say for example, I'm applying to 10 jobs and I got rejected from all 10 of them. And then some of my friend who is applying for just 5 jobs and then got one. Then I'll have that emotional turmoil where I'll be like, I think I suck at some point, and I think this is not for me, and then I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I find also when you find the jobs that you want to apply for, trying to make a personal connection will get you a lot further than,
Okay.
again, hitting easy apply. Because one thing LinkedIn has, it's very good at filtering people out for you, me as the recruiter,
Mm-hmm.
because I can, there's a job I posted recently and I got about 600 applications for it. I cannot look at ridiculous. It was like this. It was a QA contract in the UK, so it wasn't even like amazing. um, but yeah, but like I can't look at 600 applications. I
Yeah.
will go mad. So what I ended up doing was triaging. I went through, so there was one technology that the client really wanted. They basically they said, we really want this, but we know not a lot of people have it, so we're flexible.
Hmm.
So obviously my first port of call was typing test trail into the search bubble.
Right.
And then anyone who did not have test trail, I rejected. And that
Make
got me down to about 200.
nice.
And then I went through them again and I got rid of anyone. Like they were looking for maybe between 5 and 7 years, 8 years experience. So anyone with less than 5 years experience,
Done.
done.
Yeah.
That got me down to about 80. 80 applicants to look at is manageable.
Yeah.
So I went through those and then I got a bunch of CVs to send to my client. But like the number of applications can be overwhelming.
Hmm.
But out of those hundreds of applications, I got about 4 emails.
Right.
And I sent 2 of those forward, even though they weren't like like they weren't perfect, but they had like the 3 things I needed.
Hmm.
But I saw their applications first because they were in my inbox. I appreciated that they had reached out directly because obviously they were thinking about their job search a little bit more than just slamming apply.
Hmm. Hmm.
And because they sent me an email, they could put some information in the email that was beyond what was just on their CV. Because when you apply through LinkedIn Easy Apply, 100% of the data that I have on you is your LinkedIn profile and your CV. And to be honest, with that number of applications, I don't look at the CV. I look at the LinkedIn profile for my first pass.
Hmm.
So sending an email is powerful. Even if, like I said, I got 4 emails. 2 of those were from people that did not have a hope. They like had nothing that the client wanted in their lives. But I
Okay.
still replied to them. I still noticed them, and they're in their CV.
Yeah.
I can tag in my inbox. So they're tagged as QA UK.
Hmm.
And when I get a new role in, I look at my inbox first
Okay.
because I know that, like, I have their email address. I know that they're responsive. I know that they like
Yeah. You
are,
kind of have your own contact list built out for the
yeah,
future. Hmm.
yeah. And it is like, obviously, there's a time difference. If there's email was from 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't bother. But if it was,
Yeah.
a couple of months, I'd reach
Sure.
out. So
Okay.
sending an email, if you can get the contact of the relevant person, which is often on the job ad, but if it's not, you can go to LinkedIn, you can find out who the internal recruiter is. It depends on the size of the organization, but if the size of the organization is fewer than maybe 200 people, you can go straight for the hiring manager.
Hmm.
And you can figure out who the hiring manager is. If it's a software development job and there's a director of software engineering, it's like
Hmm.
not
Easy.
unreasonable to think
Yeah.
they're the right person. And
Robert.
if you Google sales tools, there
Hmm.
are 4 million tools out there that will get you the work email address of that hiring manager, and you can email them. You might not get a reply, but you have a much higher chance than just going through Easy Apply. And if you're applying to a company, you see a lot of advice that's like apply anyway, even if you don't have all of the qualifications. And people
Hmm.
have stretched that in their head to this is a leadership position. I am a graduate. I am going to apply. Oh no, seriously, you should see the applications, I guess. Like
Okay. Yeah.
that's going to make people question your judgment.
Yeah.
Um, but if you email and say, I am a graduate, I saw you're hiring for this position. Obviously, I am not a lead yet, but
Hmm.
I liked X, Y, and Z about your company. I like the stack. And if you have a position coming up, I would be very interested. And that way you're acknowledging that you saw the ad and you have acknowledged that you know you're not suitable because you're just not there yet. But you're still making that personal contact. You're still making the contact with a person.
Hmm.
And like that works.
Okay.
I have placed people at very early career stages in companies because they've reached out to me with an email like that, and I just happened to have it in my head that I know a client is looking for sort of that shaped person, or if I think they look really good and they
Hmm.
have potential, I might just send their CV to one of my clients and be like, "Look, if you happen to be looking for a graduate or somebody who's early career, I was talking to this person and they have an interesting experience." And,
Hmm.
you know, 19 times out of 20, nothing comes of it. But
But yeah.
because agency recruiters like me, we are always hungry to make a placement. We want to get somebody a job because our salary is heavily dependent on commission.
Hmm.
So if we have a chance to make a placement outside of our normal body of work, we are going to do it. Like,
Hmm.
that's the reason I would send that CV to a client, even though they don't have a job open. I would just be like,
Open this.
sure,
Okay.
I might make some money out of it.
Right. One thing I could establish is you have to be friend with your recruiter. It's not like they hate you or something. It's because the client requirements doesn't match with your CV or your skill set, and that's why you are rejected. It's not. Yeah.
And that's exactly it, because my reputation is based on what the client thinks of the CVs that I send them. And we get on more business through that. Like, our client will recommend us to their friend who's also a CTO.
Hmm.
Like, I sent 3 CVs for a role the other week, and all 3 of them were rejected. And I am still embarrassed
Hmm.
because I'm like, how did I send 3 CVs and none of them were suitable? What is wrong with me? So, like, I'm not going to send somebody forward that because, like, they seem cool and they really want a job,
Fair enough.
because that's just not my
Yeah,
job.
I think that's spot on. Go on to the like for fresh graduates, it's just go onto the websites, and when you apply, just figure out the person on LinkedIn. Like this is what I've gathered so far from this. Um, and then once you have the list of like directors or the recruiters for working for that company, then drop them an email saying, hey, like there's more information about me and I've already applied for the position. If there's anything, you can reach out to me via email. And
Exactly. And don't necessarily use ChatGPT for these notes. I mean, I'm not saying never use ChatGPT. I've literally used it twice on this call so far.
yes.
And I use it, like, if I have a difficult message to send, I tend to get ChatGPT to rephrase it so I sound
Mm.
less horrible. You are unsuitable for this job, ChatGPT. Can you?
Oh, it's not you, it's me. Kind of.
But
Yeah.
what you can do is, if you go to the website, the careers website of the company you're interested in, you'll
Hmm.
see what's important to them. So the careers page might have something like work with the most talented people, or we are building something to help the future. And then use that in your cover note. Be like, this really resonated with me because blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because even if you put one thing in your note that was on the job ad or the careers page, that puts you ahead of 99% of applicants.
Mm.
I put somebody forward for a position and they actually have an interview last week because they sent me a note. They mentioned something that was in my job ad. And I work really hard at my job ads. So if anybody looks like they're paying attention to them, it makes me really happy.
Right.
And there's like their CV, their experience wasn't perfect. It's an application security position, and they're a data engineer, but they had done loads of security stuff. So they
Hmm.
were actually, they're not a bad fit for the role. But if they had well, they did just apply on LinkedIn, but based on their LinkedIn, I would have rejected them because I would have just gone data engineer,
Sorry.
because data engineers are very nice, but they are not necessarily security engineers.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you're trying to do there. It's fine.
Yeah, but like,
I'm
he
sorry.
emailed me and he contextualized his experience
Mm,
for me.
mm, mm. True. Yeah, that's right. Now, I think for the resume format, there has been like I had this question. So the format, like the layout, first would be your contact details, your email address, and so on and so forth. Then will be your experience. You know what? I think actually I can share one like mine, and then we can rate it. I'm nervous here, but it's fine.
That's actually a good CV. So the main things I see on a CV. So if you ask any recruiter,
Mhm.
um, their opinion on what should be on a CV, you'll get a different opinion to the last recruiter you asked. So, like,
Right.
don't stress too much. But the main problems I usually see in a CV is a photo. Do not put a photo on your CV. I know in parts of Europe it's normal, but
Mm-hmm.
you're just giving people a chance to be biased against you.
Ah,
And
okay.
also, it doesn't matter what you look like. Like, because if you put a picture up on your CV, if everyone's putting a picture on their CV, just people are naturally going to deviate towards people who are more attractive because that's just, we're monkeys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't give people a chance to be biased against you for that. And then also every other type of bias.
Mm-hmm.
We can't help our unconscious biases, but you don't want to give people a chance to have them. So don't put it there. Like, I'm sure as somebody with a non-Irish name, you've already have enough problems in that area without giving people
Mm.
extra chances.
Yep.
Um, your bio is fine. You've got your main technology points in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, going down to your experience. So the skills on top, that's perfect. You just have a list of them. I hate it when I see people that are like, have those little bar graphs or they're like an
Oh,
8 out of 10 on a technology.
yeah.
And it's like nobody knows what you're using
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
metric. You know, I know most, like I see 7 or 8 out of 10 on it for programming languages quite often on his CV, but most of industry's opinion would be 8. That level of, like, if we're saying you're a 7 or 8 for a
Mm.
programming language, you have to be phenomenal.
Yes. Yes.
And most people who put a number on their CV do not have the level of experience to be
Mm.
phenomenal. Your Yeah, no, that's good. Your work experience is good. You could push information in about exactly like what impact you had in terms of numbers. So you
Okay.
have ingested, yeah, that
Yeah.
there. But if you
Yeah.
have anything else, you could put, if you have a point to have for each,
Right.
if
Development.
possible. If you don't have it, obviously you can't put it in.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
Um.
that's what you need. You have the technologies that you've worked on. You have the impact.
Mm-hmm.
You could put a list underneath of the technologies. Well, you only have one position, but if you had more than one position, you could put the technologies you used in each position underneath.
Okay. Okay.
Because then, like, another thing that quite happens is you contact somebody and you say, "Oh, great, you've got this technology in your CV," and they go, "I haven't used that in 5 years."
Right.
And
Right.
I mean, it's fine, but if they'd given me that information on their CV, I wouldn't have had to annoy them.
Hmm.
I wouldn't have had to waste their time with a job that's not for them, that they don't want.
Right. That makes sense. And one more question I have is sorry, but it's like on the work experience. So s- I had like already used good bullet pointers for this one, good good enough space. So I thought I'll just add the other project which I worked on during this work experience under the project section. So is that fine or like
Um, eh, I was honestly reading those projects as your college projects.
uh okay, okay,
So if they, because that's the way people normally do it, but I was reading those as your college projects. So if they were part of your work, in your current position,
this one,
I
yeah.
would stick it up under work experience.
Okay, fair enough.
And just like, you can just have it underneath what you have there under data analyst, and you can have just
Hmm.
maybe call it selected projects or something. And
Okay.
the powerful thing about that is when you have your brag document, which is a document in which you just push good things you've done in college or work. Because as you said, when you go to write your CV, you will forget everything you've ever done in your entire life and you
Right.
will be unable to write anything. But if you all of the time are putting in notes into a little document going, I developed an ETL pipeline this week and here's some information and here's some data on it. Then when it comes to write your CV, you can just slot it in. And
Right.
then that means you can tailor your CV towards individual positions. So if you had a really ETL heavy position you were applying
Mm.
for, you could put that in and maybe leave the churn prediction out,
Right.
or
Okay.
vice versa for a position that was looking for something with more like prediction or
Mm.
semantics based stuff.
Correct. Okay. Yeah.
So,
Like,
and if if you already have a document with all of the great stuff you've done, then
it will
easy
just,
peasy.
yeah. Yeah.
And tailoring your CV is going to get you much further than using the same,
Same
trying to
thing.
make one single CV that's going to
Yeah.
suit everything.
Yeah. There's one idea for this. What I usually do is have a master CV, which can be your black document. So like include everything in there, whatever you have done, all the projects, all the work experience, everything. And then just when you're applying for a job, just delete the rows or delete the lines where, it doesn't match with the role. And that's your customized CV for that particular
Yeah,
job.
exactly. Because most people in a hiring position, whether they're recruiters or hiring managers, will probably spend less than 1 minute reading your CV.
Mm, mm.
Because again, hundreds of applications, and you
Right.
have to help us to, like, we can't change the system. I can't change how many
Mm.
applications I'm getting. I just have to try and deal with the plate I have. So you have to make it easy for people to want to hire you.
Okay. That's right. Okay. Makes sense. And then now this is one page, but on the second page, I have included the certification, education, and few other accomplishments.
That's fine.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
And like accomplishments, just put down anything you're proud of. Like,
Hmm.
it's fine. Um, you never know when it's going to make a difference.
Right. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, that.
Just go back up to your first page. I would recommend putting your um, work permit status on the page when you're applying because,
Okay.
again,
Yeah.
when I'm working a position, the
Hmm.
client, we always 1000% of the time will ask if they can sponsor work permits
Mm-hmm.
and what their general position is on stamp 1G. And if they
Mm-hmm.
can't or won't sponsor, then I cannot fix that. And
Hmm.
obfuscating that information isn't, it actually a lot of the time annoys me
Wow.
because it's like, it's not like I'm going to talk to somebody and go, oh my God, they're so amazing, even though they don't have a work permit. I'm
Yeah.
definitely putting them forward because I can't. My hands are tied.
Right.
So you might as well just put like, I'm very pro putting the information ahead. If you've ever gotten an email from me, I probably had all of the information about the job on the first email because I'm just like, read this, you're either in or out.
Yes.
I can't change reality for you. So,
Wait.
if the salary doesn't suit, I've told you what it is already.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you might as well just make it easy for people to see the information and know it. And it's gotten so much easier here for people on Stamp 1G because education has improved among hiring people that people actually know what it is.
Right.
So
Right.
you can put Stamp 1G on it. And then
Hmm.
if you're sending a cover note, maybe add a line in about I can work for anyone for 2 years without restriction until this
Yes.
date.
Yes.
Like you can put stamp 1G and then put your end date whenever it is, because it'll be 2 years from graduation. So
Correct.
it's just you're making it easier for people on the hiring side. And if I have a lot of applications and I am not sure, I'll often lean on the side of not contacting someone because 90% of the time I'll reach out and they'll require sponsorship. And I've gotten their hopes up, which makes
Yeah.
me feel really bad. And I don't want to make them feel bad because they're like, oh my God, we're a recruiter. Oh,
Fair enough. That makes much more sense, I think. Cool. Um, I have most of the information on the resume. I think it should be just plain simple structure, one by one, one below the other, left to right, easy to read, and text format, not a JPG.
yeah. And if you're if you're coming from another country to Ireland, we don't need to know your date of birth. We don't need to know your marital status. We don't need your passport number. Like, don't put personal information aside from what's strictly job related on your CV. And I know things are different in different countries, but in Ireland, we
Mm.
do not care. Like, we don't want to know. You shouldn't be sending a CV that allows people to steal your identity.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think email and phone number or just the location you are over
Email. And for address, just push a city.
county. Yeah. Yeah.
Again, people shouldn't get a job application from you and then be able to go to your house.
Right. Exactly. Uh, Fair enough. Now, I think we are sorted on the top of the funnel, which is applications. One last question with that is LinkedIn. So, should one post on LinkedIn, send connection requests, and while sending the connection request, should they post? Now, I know, like I talk about personal branding, so should should we like talk about, okay, these are the projects I'm doing, and then at the same time send connection request? Does that actually help, or it's just
I mean, so when I am doing some sourcing on LinkedIn, LinkedIn will give me basically a grade, not a grade exactly, but it'll give me an indication of how likely a person is to respond. And the order in which I'm shown profiles when I do a search is partly based on how likely is that person to respond. And a
oh
person in my network is more likely to respond.
yeah.
So they will be on top. They'll be above somebody not in my network. So it's valuable from that aspect. It's valuable because I'll see people's posts. I mean, it's hard for me because I have too many connections, so my feed is a bit messy. But people who are not recruiters will have fewer connections and they'll see your posts. You'll see the posts of people in hiring positions you're connected to,
Yeah.
and you can always add a comment if it's, relevant and nice.
Yeah.
If people repost my posts, I always go look because we all love that hit of dopamine. And I'll always go look at their LinkedIn profile. And then if I have something that's suitable, I get in touch because I have
Mhm.
just seen their LinkedIn profile. And
Right.
I'm always thinking about the positions I have open and who
Mm.
could be a fit and what are they like. So
Oh,
yeah, like definitely there's no harm in
exactly.
particularly bad is going to happen if you've connected to somebody. Or if you ask to connect to somebody and they reject it, don't worry about it. I curate my connections quite heavily because that
Mm.
influences who my posts are shown to. And obviously, I want my network to suit my needs. And connecting to, a mechanical engineer in Dubai is not necessarily helping me because I never have positions for that.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah, I think pretty much it. And then now, I think we don't have much left in the funnel because the main part is getting the CV in, getting it past the ATS system, past the recruiter, and past the filtering. And I think that can be just done by having the right keywords, as you mentioned, like you're looking for test trail, and it happened to be from those 600, 800 applications, you were able to go down to 200 because few of them actually mentioned that they were using this. So,
And one of the four people I mentioned that emailed me, one of them didn't have test trail on
mm,
their profile. But when I emailed back, I went, oh, the client is looking for blah, 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 and you
mm,
don't have blah. And they emailed back going, oh, actually, I do. And I was like, okay. I mean, why wasn't it on your CV? But okay.
oh, okay, makes sense.
It
Yeah.
happens and not part of the reason you won't get feedback that's like the reason you didn't get this job is because of X is because so many people will argue with you.
Mm,
And I don't have the energy.
yep.
Like
Yeah.
I'll say they're looking for somebody who has really strong experience in this technology, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, I used it once," and I'll be like, "I'm not. I just don't want to have the conversation where I explain that
Yeah.
this much experience isn't this much."
Right.
So that's why the feedback you get is often quite bland
Mm, mm,
because people
mm.
get very angry, which is understandable. You're stressed about your job hunt,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like, we're all busy. I don't have time to have arguments with people every day.
True. Makes sense.
But you can
Um,
always email and say, can you give me more information? And those emails I'll reply to and I'll say, look, the client is looking for X, you don't have X. So
hmm,
therefore,
hmm.
so you
I
can,
think some of
oh,
them don't even bother.
they
Uh,
don't. I get very, very few
mm,
requests for more feedback, but I always reply to those, especially if it's somebody more junior. I always reply thoughtfully because, none of us are born knowing the norms of work. And I know most colleges won't teach anything to do with anything
true.
related to it.
True.
So I don't mind spending a few minutes just going, look, you're not a bad person. They're just looking for
This
something
is
else.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you want, you may not always get a reply, but email politely.
Hmm, got it. Yeah, makes sense. I think I'll just leave the technical part out of it, like for the interviews, because the next stage will be interviews. Oh, sorry. Before that, it will be like a call with
Yeah.
the recruiter. So maybe we can talk about that. Then we'll skip the technical part because it's subjective. It depends on the
Yeah.
company, depends on the tech stack. The last part we'll talk about is the cultural fit, and then maybe we can end it over there.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So the recall you have with a recruiter, it's always going to be a really basic screen.
Mm.
Like I'll have a list of things I'm looking for, and I always pare my big list of job spec down to like three things. And if I'm
But
talking to somebody, I'm pretty sure they have those three things
mm,
because it'll be on their CV or whatever. And I'm just looking for more information. I'm also looking for, are they a fit for the company? Like, not personality wise, but if you are working in like you're working in, can I say?
yeah.
Yeah. So you're working for the HSE, which is a government funded organization. It's very bureaucratic because that's the nature of the HSE. If you were, if I was asking you about a job in a startup with 10 people in it, and it's very like go, go, go and long hours, and everyone's very, wow. My questions are going to be around how do you think you're going to feel about that change in environment? Because it's not going to be as structured.
Right.
You're going to be working with a different type of data, whatever the differences are. You might be working with real time data. You might be working with massive volumes that are much, much higher than the HSE because it could be
Mm.
for a company that's handling marketing data and they would have billions of data points. So
Mm.
I'll focus on what I think the main problem is going to be, like what's going to be the main thing that's going to hold you back from getting this job.
Mm.
And then I'll tell you about the company and the job, any information I have, which should be a good bit,
Mm.
because if the recruiter has properly screened the client, they should have loads of information. And obviously, if they're an internal recruiter, they'll know everything.
Correct.
I'll check salary, like
Mm.
so a recruiter's always going to ask you what salary you're targeting.
Mhm.
I would advise asking what the budget is.
Okay.
The recruiter should know, um, and there's no reason they shouldn't tell you. I
Mm.
know why recruiters wouldn't tell you because they want to know how they. What I worry about is I tell somebody that the budget is like 75 to 110 and they ask for 110 and then I have to have the conversation where it's like the budget goes to 110. You will not get 110
Right. Right.
because the client is going to say that person is not worth 110 because of their experience. So, but ask what the budget is.
Yeah.
Um, you can also say, I don't really know because I've been in this position for a while or I'm a graduate. What do you think?
Mhm.
Make them tell you because that'll almost always be a higher number.
Yeah. Okay.
And don't feel like just because you're talking to a recruiter that you have to go ahead with the position.
Okay.
It's likely the recruiter will try to sell you on the role because that's literally our job. But if you don't want to do the job, then say no.
Complete.
And the
Okay.
recruiter will try to get you to consent to send your CV forward on the call.
Yeah.
If you are not sure, say, I want to see this job spec first. I want to think about it. And then I will tell you if I want to go forward. Do not send my CV forward yet.
Okay.
And then if you are in the EU, they legally cannot send your CV forward.
Yeah.
So just maintain control of your data.
Hmm.
I'm telling you to do all the things that really annoy me when people do it to me, but they're the right things. So
Okay, that's not too bad. Um, okay. So it's like a basic call where you get to know about the
it's
and
basic. And you can
yeah.
ask any questions you have about the role or the
Right.
company. The recruiter may not know everything because there's certain things we just don't know
Yeah.
because they're an internal matter with the company. There's things we don't know because we forgot to ask or nobody asked us that question, so we didn't never thought to ask.
Right. Like with the example which you gave about HSE and then working in a startup. So there that then the plus point would be okay, I have worked like I'm working in HSE right now, but I was working on a startup previously, so I'm used to that, and maybe my goals are working in a startup eventually down the line. So you can answer
Yeah,
that.
exactly. And
Oh,
obviously, you might hear me say that about the startup and think, "Oh, no, I don't want that." And
exactly. Yeah.
that's fine. That's the reason
Yeah.
I'm having that conversation is because I
Right.
want to know, are you going to get this job? Are you going to stay in the job? Because
Hmm.
if a person doesn't stay in the job, we have to give the feedback.
Hmm.
And usually I've been paid by then, which means I have to give the money back. And
Huh.
that's sad, sad times when that happens. So we really want to make sure that you're getting the job and you're happy in it.
Okay. Makes sense. Honestly, just one pointer which I want to highlight here is talking to you, even from our previous conversation, it has always, I always felt that recruiter is not someone who is working against you, but the whole perspective or the whole narrative is kind of like, oh, I got rejected. Probably they're not having the good mood. I have all the skills and everything. But behind the scenes, maybe the recruiter was like, as you said, the clients were not happy with the experience you had, or there were no sponsorship opportunities, or there are like n number of factors going on. So whatever it is, just disclose it. Talk to your recruiter whenever you have this first initial call. And yeah,
And what you say about being in a bad mood is if I'm having a bad day, I genuinely don't look at job applications because if I'm in a bad mood, I'm so
yeah,
much harsher.
yeah.
So if I find myself going through profiles and I'm like, no, 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 I'm like, wait,
Hmm.
problem coming from inside the rows.
Hmm.
And then I just don't look at them until tomorrow. And that's
Okay.
why emailing to say, actually, why was I rejected can be good because I might look at it and go, oh, yeah, hmm,
Mm.
oops.
Okay. Right. Now I think the next one, negotiation bit, you handle it pretty well. Like you said, ask for the budget and then you'll understand what it is. One more thing is it a good practice where, let's say, you tell me like 75, 110, let's stick to that conversation. And I'm like, okay, I am looking for something around about that range. And then at the end of the interview, if I'm offered 75, but I was looking for something like 85 or 90, then the conversation, like, so first of all, the question is, would that be a better, like, having this conversation after the interview or just before and just stick to that number? Like, oh, I want 85.
If if you're
Uh,
going through an external recruiter, like a recruitment agency is who is sending their CV to a client,
mm,
I have to put a salary on it when I'm sending it.
right.
And if I don't, the client will come back and go, what are they looking for? So I have to put a number on it. Unless it's a client I know really well that kind of knows me and trusts me, then I can kind of get away with saying, oh, they're happy with the budget. But
Mm,
that's always but so if somebody refuses to give me any indication of salary, and I will probably always say something like, okay, so the band is 75 to 110. If I put you forward and say they're happy with this band, then they
mm,
may offer you 75.
mm.
Would you accept that if offered? And that usually makes people go, oh, actually, do you know?
This is the number. Okay.
Yeah. So if there's if the bottom of the range is below what you want,
Mm,
make sure to communicate that.
right. Right.
If you're dealing with internal recruitment,
Mm,
typically you can get away with not doing anything until after the first interview because you
mm,
can say, I want to know more about the job and the duties before I commit to a number.
mm.
but they will pressure you for a number at some point.
Yes.
And mostly it's that you want to know if you can afford somebody.
True.
So again, it's about like efficiency. If
Mm.
I have somebody forward for a job and I think they're going to reject the job offer, like what is the point?
Mm.
Like
Makes sense.
why are we any of us doing these interviews? Why is the candidate doing 6 hours of interview for a job they are not going to accept?
Correct. Correct.
So I want to save them that time. And so that's why recruiters will pressure you for a figure. And
Mm.
whatever figure you say, you will be kept to that. It's very hard to go up afterwards
Mm. Okay. Makes sense. Right.
because we've made that commitment to our client that,
That.
this one dude is looking for 85.
Mm.
And if they come back and they say, oh, actually, I'm looking for 95, I'm like, well, that's great. You're getting 85.
Yeah. Yeah, because you told so. Makes sense. I think yeah, that's perfect, Rose. Thanks. Now we'll move on to the last section, which is
The culture fit.
yeah. Um, I think I remember a few bits from our initial conversation where you said like go onto the website, look for the keywords. You gave like Tesla's example where like something futuristic or something like get that into the cover letter or some project which highlights the futuristic view. That's how you can nail the culture fit. But if you want to highlight some experiences like the lad and
Well,
yeah.
culture fit tends to be more about how you work and how you are in
Mm,
work. So they'll ask you questions like, tell me about a time that you had a very difficult problem to solve with a client, or tell me about a time that you had a disagreement with a colleague and how was that resolved, or a time you made a mistake. I know I'm mentioning just negative ones, but the positive ones are just easy to answer. Tell me about a time you did something really good at work. Everyone can talk for 5 hours about that.
yeah.
Um, so if I can send an interview guide to anyone that wants one that has a very massive list of these kinds of questions. Typically, when you get to this stage of interview, you can ask what competencies they're looking for, because
Mm,
typically there's competencies like communication or teamwork or problem solving, and that's what they're looking for. They'll be measuring you against a rubric that's going to be like, if it's a distributed team, communication and teamwork is going to be really important because they want to know, are you able to clearly communicate what you're doing day to day? Are you able to work with a team that you can't like lean across the desk to and go, hello? Like how do you deal with a bunch of different personalities?
mm,
What That's what they want to get a sense of. And typically there's going to be something internal that they're specifically kind of looking for. I have a
mm,
position open at the moment that basically they're looking for somebody that can deal with non-technical clients because their clients are all stuff like doctors who would not
mm.
be good technically. Very smart, but not
Technical sound.
necessarily good
Mm,
with computers. So how do you, a very technical person, communicate how to fix a bug in your technology platform to somebody who isn't technical
mm,
without annoying them because they're doctors and they're going to, if you make them feel stupid, it's going to really annoy them.
yeah.
So how do you deal with that? So they're going to ask questions around that. And you can get an idea of this from your interviews and from the job spec and from the company, but you can ask specifically what
Mm,
competencies they're grading you on. They might not tell you,
mm,
but you can ask.
right.
And then it's good to look at each competency and then think up a really good example of a project or a time in your life or something like that. It doesn't
Mm,
always have to be work, especially if you're earlier in your career. You won't have a lot of examples from work, but keep it semi professional, like a professional organization you were involved with.
mm. Oh,
Um, this, you know, podcast and mailing list that you run, stuff like
yeah.
that. Like in my recruitment interviews, I leaned a lot on my events
Right.
experience because there wasn't really much in museums that was relevant. So I
Mm,
leaned a lot on, how do you deal with stress? Well, I ran an event that had 4,000 people in Ireland's largest stadium,
mm.
which was very stressful, but blah, blah, blah.
Right. Right. one question I just wrote it down was around interview prep, which I forgot to ask. Um, like we are trying to reduce down the biases. So how do we know like how to dress up for the interview? How do you speak, the body language and everything? If we could just touch base.
Yeah. What to wear?
Mm-hmm.
So for most companies, if as long as you look reasonably tidy, it's fine. I
Mm.
mean, you'll get advice from recruiters that will say things like wear a shirt, and that's because we have had people present to an interview with no shirt on. Seriously, they were sitting in a cafe somewhere with no shirt on. It's like,
What?
my friend. Yeah, another guy was driving around in his car with an old man asleep in the back. You've no idea that in like so you've no idea how weird you have to be in an interview for people to think you're weird. And
Shit.
especially if you're early career, people will understand like if you're not quite
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
100% professional.
Mm. Mm.
If it's like a company, like a big international formal company, like a bank or like
Mm.
the Accentures or consultancies, it might
Yeah.
be worth wearing something a bit more business casual,
Mm.
like a shirt works for everyone, all genders, just
Yeah.
nice, clean shirt. Don't worry, like you don't need if it's a remote interview, you don't need to worry too much about what's in your background because people can't help
Yeah. Makes
their
sense.
situation. I cannot help that my cat is insisting on sitting there
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I know if I move him, he's going to be back there in 2 minutes. So, like,
Yeah. It's fine. Yeah.
body
Okay.
language, I find it hard to advise here because I'm a naturally flaily person.
Mm.
But as long as you're not like picking your nose or like pulling out your eyelashes or like if you think about it, if you were sitting in a restaurant, what wouldn't you do?
Mhm. Okay.
Like
Makes
that's kind of the level of being a human person you're aiming for.
right. Right.
Like if you were waving your hands around in a restaurant, that's fine. If you were like gouging something out of your eye, people would be a bit like, "What is that person doing?"
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Um. Again, the way you speak, I I've never really spoken to anyone that I thought that their manner of speaking or something was the wrong
Off.
thing.
Mhm.
It's fine. Again, I'm possibly the wrong person to speak about this because my whole deal is slightly different to most recruiters.
Mm.
But in
Uh,
technology, people are easygoing, like, it's chilled.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's fine. We're not looking tech isn't almost never looking for somebody that's like completely rigid and
Mm.
boring. So it's fine and actually optimal to show personality.
Mm. Makes
The
sense.
only thing I'll say, I think it's completely unfair, like seriously unfair, but clients will look badly and rate somebody badly if they appear to be very nervous. I think it's so unfair and incorrect, but I cannot.
Right.
In 14 years, I've never managed to shake a client out of it. So
Mm.
if you think you're going to appear very nervous before your interview, do some breathing exercises,
Yeah.
practice your facial control so at least it's not showing.
Who's mm.
But interview practice will really help with that. If
Mm.
you make sure that you can talk about your projects and your CV and your technology and you've got that down cold, you will feel less nervous. People are nervous about interviews because they are afraid they will not be able to answer the questions.
Mm. Makes sense. And it's also about the practice. Like the more interviews you appear to, or just the mock interviews, it will
Yeah.
be much more better. Yeah.
And if you do an interview and it was an absolute car crash, like
Hmm.
don't worry too much about it. A lot of people I speak to that say that their interview was the worst ever. It was actually fine. And secondly, it's practice. Don't worry about it. Brush it off. Like if you do a really bad interview, the company you're speaking to will have forgotten about it in about an
And
hour. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
so like they are not sitting around thinking, oh my God,
Hmm.
unless you're the guy who had no shirt on. But I mean, if you're watching this, wear a shirt. Um,
That's the bottom line.
So like that's the level of out there it has to be for me to even remember.
Sure. Yeah, I never thought about that. that this would happen. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it. We covered what are the tips a fresher should follow, what are the tips someone who has more experience should follow. Um, yeah,
The
thank
main
you so
thing is just don't take like you'll when you're a graduate, you'll get so many rejections, like, and it's gonna hurt, but
much.
it's not personal.
Yes.
Nobody, all your applications, nobody is sitting in a room going, ha ha ha. Like it doesn't, nobody is sitting like, that's always my paranoid worry is that I sent an application and people are sitting around maybe on a big screen going,
Mm.
um, but it's not personal. Everyone has a goal. A company wants to hire a person to do a thing. Like they're
Hmm.
not, nobody's sitting around thinking of ways to hurt you.
Oh.
Which is sucks in a way because it is so impersonal. So like just look at your numbers, treat it like a video game and drop rates.
Uh,
And,
uh,
you know, if I'm looking for a rare weapon in a game and I know it has a 0.5% drop rate, you know,
hmm.
and I haven't found anything in an hour, then I know like it's fine because
Mm.
I know that the drop rate is really low. So just treat it like that. Send her
Right.
applications. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
And watch your
Um,
data pipeline. And if you find that it's getting really heavy in one place and it's not getting to the next stage, then you can look at what the problem actually is.
okay. So I have three like rapid fire questions. Like quick. Just three. First, do certificates matter, or is just like like people start collecting them as medals and then just start highlighting it? Does it really matter or helps?
In InfoSec, it does matter a bit.
Okay.
And in regulated industries, if you have
Mm.
certs related to that, I mean, in networking, it kind of matters. If you have no experience, if you've got your CompTIA, it can help because at least it shows that you've tried. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't think AWS certs mattered that much. I mean, they're no harm,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it can be good to get them, but like, it's not
Doesn't.
necessarily going to make the difference between a yes and a no.
Hmm.
But if you
Makes
want to get them,
just do it
they can be
first.
really good. Like,
Yeah.
but don't feel you have to go out of your way. If you don't want to do them, then just don't.
So for early professionals, would that be a good thing because they have literally no experience, then maybe build a product out of it or uh,
It's it's no harm, but I don't often see clients saying, "We really, really want this certificate." Apart
okay.
from regulated industries where it can be good for their clients to be like, all
Mm.
of our QA testers have the whatever it is, IS
Mm. Make
thing
yeah.
qualification.
Okay. Um, Makes sense. Then the summary section. Does it matter for someone who has less than 2 years of experience and above? Like, the whole thing.
Not
Yeah.
certainly put highlights, keep soft skills out of it, keep stuff like I am hardworking and creative because you want they're unquantifiable.
Right.
And nobody puts down I am really lazy. So,
True.
you read
Yes.
that and you go, yeah, okay. So like
Yeah.
just keep it high level details. I have a degree in X. I did
Mm.
my project on vague topic Y.
Mm. Okay. And final is leveraging AI for your job applications where it's like massy applications. Like there are these tools where they'll just upload the master resume or something and they'll just shoot.
The reason I had 600 applications for that job is because half of them were AI.
Hmm.
And there could be people that I rejected that are quite good, but I didn't see their application because it was covered in AI.
And
I would advise against using them. You will do better with 50 curated, nice applications than you will with 500
hmm.
ones blasted out there. But I'm on the receiving end of applications, so obviously that's going to be what I say. Um, but you can't necessarily trust those platforms to accurately reply, apply to jobs for you. Like the 600 applications I mentioned, I would say 10% of them were wildly unsuitable. Like they were quality engineers in pharmaceutical plants. If a human person had read that job ad, they would not have applied to it, but somebody set up their AI thingy to go quality engineer. Boom.
Boom.
And
Makes sense.
that's a load of applications that I had to trudge through.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it. And as you already mentioned about the AI, where you can use it for your writing your email and your resume, but you don't have to copy paste, maybe paraphrase, or just to
Yeah.
get the wordings right. Yeah. Okay.
It's a tool, not a
Yeah.
replacement. Because again, if especially on the junior end where companies are already trying to replace you, don't give them
Hmm.
more reasons. Like if your job CV, application, and cover letter were all generated by AI, like why do we need you?
Hmm.
AI
Make-
can AI can write junior level code.
Yes.
So
Yes.
don't give the industry an excuse to replace
Hmm.
you.
Right. And then I'm sorry, I said three, but there are two more questions now as we're talking about it. One is it really difficult for a fresher to find a job? A, like in general freshers, and B, the ones with stamp 1G who will be graduating, like already graduated this year and the next year.
I think it is hard because there's a lot of competition. There's not a lot of jobs, and AI has wrecked the application process on every side because all of the companies are using it, all of the candidates are using it.
Yeah.
Horrible, but keep at it. The things I've mentioned will put you above 99% of job applicants because most applicants are just
Hmm.
smashing AI, sent my CV 500 places.
Right.
So just like I graduated at the start of the really big recession in Ireland, which was about 15 years ago, 14 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awful. There were like literally, there were no jobs.
Okay.
Like it was tough to get, like I got the job in the museum because I had done my dissertation on that
Hmm.
museum.
Ah.
So
Okay.
I was very qualified, but I applied to so many jobs. And I know I was getting desperate towards the end. I was like
For
applying to jobs I had no hope of getting because I would see like one word. Like I was getting rejected for jobs in working in pubs and I was getting rejected for everything. So like I
Mm.
know what it's like when
Yes.
but
Yes.
things are better now because there are jobs. People
Yeah.
like they do exist. They are out there. You have to dig to
Yeah.
find them, but they're there.
Makes sense.
And
And but
for Stamp
Mhm.
1G,
Mhm.
perseverance, I would feel like most recruiters are pretty educated on it at this
Yeah. No.
stage.
Yeah.
Clients may not be, but a good recruiter will educate their clients on it. Just be open about the fact that you're Stamp 1G
Mhm.
because there's one thing I hate to see, which is authorized to work in Ireland, which just means you're alive. Like,
Yes.
yes, you're legally able to work here. Like you're permitted to get a job here, like legally, but you still have to get a work permit.
Hmm.
So when I see that, I just assume the person doesn't have a work permit because that's usually the phrasing people use when they're like, yes, I am permitted to get a job here.
Hmm.
Nobody is preventing me from doing it legally, but I still need a work permit.
Yes.
So just be
Uh,
upfront. Either
yeah.
companies can hire Stamp 1G, which they should be able to. Most
Mhm.
companies.
Makes sense.
The only other thing is, though, sometimes
Mhm.
as an external recruiter, a client won't accept a Stamp 1G CV from me because they feel like they can get those people themselves.
Right away. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're looking for the harder to find profiles from me. So if a recruiter is saying they can't use Stamp 1G, like they're probably telling the truth. It's not that they're ignorant or that they hate you. They're if my client won't accept a CV from me, then
Mm. It's no use. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and now the whole debate in the tech industry is like, as we even like brought it up, that the junior developers can be really replaced using AI. And I personally like was using this lovable AI where you can build applications and all that, like web apps, and it's pretty good. It's pretty solid. So what do you think the industry is headed towards? Like, the jobs being gone, people being replaced with AI. So to just, keep yourself secured in the sense that, like you not lose your jobs to the AI. So what skill set should one
Um, Certainly people skills. AI is not at the point where it can be creative really.
Mm,
Like literally all it does is regurgitate. It
right.
is all LLMs are enhanced Markov chain bots. Um, so they can't replace that creative spark.
Mm,
Like recruitment, my job is so easily replaced by AI. Like ChatGPT can assess a CV, it can put
yeah.
up a job ad, it can do everything, but it can't do this.
Right.
It
Right.
can't offer tailored advice. It can't look at a client and tell them why they're not getting more female applicants.
Mm,
So I'm really, and my company as a whole, we're really leaning into the consultancy part of our job and the advisory capacity because, you know, any AI can search for a
and
profile based on keywords.
yes.
So you have to find what AI cannot do. And it
Mm,
is primarily creative endeavors. I know there's AI art, but that's not even art.
yeah. True. Very true. Okay. So yeah, that's all. Those are all my questions, and that's it.
Okay.
Thank you so much for doing this. It has been long, long, long pending. It was
Yeah.
insightful, and thank you so much, Rose.
Yeah, you're welcome. And yeah, if you maybe if I send you that interview guide, you can send it out or to anyone that wants it.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. And
I'll put on a
check
link.
out the Nine Dots website and
Yeah.
check out my profile for I have a lot of blogs on different aspects of hiring, which you might
In
find helpful.
Yeah, those links will be in the description. So feel free to check them out and connect with Rose on her
Yep.
blog, on the website, and all the best.
Yep. Okay, cool. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.